There's a moment in life when reality just snaps. Like the whole universe tilts sideways and suddenly you're the only one who sees the floor moving. That's exactly where I found myself, keys jangling in my hand, standing at the edge of a mountain road staring at a house I'd just bought fair and square at a county tax auction, only to realize within minutes that someone was about to rewrite the world around me. This wasn't supposed to be how my big leap started. Name's Garrett Mitchell, by the way. 38, former auditor out of Denver. The kind of guy who'd rather trust the cold honesty of numbers than the shifting stories people tell. After 12 years chasing ghosts through spreadsheets, I figured it was time to put my savings into something with actual walls and a roof. That's how I wound up at the Summit County Quarterly Tax Auction, hands sweating, heart-pounding, bidding on a rundown place out on Pine Rest Trail, abandoned since the owner died, no heirs, nobody interested but me. 47 grand and change for a shot at something real. Nobody warned me I was buying into a war. 4 hours up winding roads, my new warranty deed on the passenger seat still warm from the clerk's stamp. The address, 742 Pine Rest Trail, clear as Colorado sunshine. I pull up at the end of the road, the only house that matches every photo. But the sign, 746. I check the mailbox. Fresh paint, chemical smell, post still sticky. The sign itself, blue slapped over green. Meter box stickered March 2024. Nothing here feels right except the mountains themselves. Then she appears, woman in her 50s, gray hair, face set like stone, phone out and already recording. Before I can say howdy, she throws her voice across the porch for the camera. Private property. You're trespassing. Police are on their way. I hold up my deed, careful and calm. Explain about the auction, point out the address. She barely glances, points behind me at the shiny new sign. That says 746. Paper says 742. Wrong place, friend. She introduces herself as Doris Whitmore, HOA Vice President, claims she's lived here for 8 years. But the records, county utilities, everything say otherwise. This house sat empty since 2021. No water, no power, no sign of life until 3 weeks ago. By the time I process all that, she's already on the phone. Cops show up. Deputy Hicks by the book checks my paperwork, then his tablet. No 742 in our system, he says. Can't confirm your claim. From his point of view, I'm just a guy with a piece of paper trying to move into a house that on the county records doesn't even exist. Doris, arms folded, is loving every minute. So I leave, no choice. But as I pull away, I can see her in the window smiling like a chess player who just trapped your king. Next morning, I'm in the county office chasing answers. The clerk pulls up my deed, confirms it's solid, then cross-checks the GIS database. No 742, never existed, she says. Only 740, then 746. Weeks for old records to surface. Meanwhile, a letter from the sheriff lands in my mailbox. Doris files a trespass complaint, wants a restraining order. HOA emails me also from Doris, telling me I own nothing, that I'm banned from the neighborhood. I start digging. HOA rules. Colorado statutes, turns out someone with the right friends can request address changes, all under the noble pretense of emergency services accuracy. All Doris needed was a little bureaucratic magic, and suddenly my house vanished from the map. Deep dive into the community forums, and I find her months ago stoking the flames. Let's keep outsiders out, she wrote. Residents egged her on. Meanwhile, the utility companies tell me accounts at 746 opened March 15th, days before I closed. Water, electric, mail, all under Doris's name. She built a reality and moved in before I had the chance. But she wasn't acting alone. The address change needed approval, and the name on the official form, Frank Hollis. The same Frank who refused to answer my questions, who's married to Doris's sister, making him her brother-in-law. Conflict of interest. That's one way to put it. Trying to talk to neighbors is pointless. Doors shut, curtains twitch. On the forum, Doris posts a picture of me, calls me a scammer, says I'm forging documents. Strangers drag my name through the mud, post my job history, even my old corporate photo. Then my old boss calls. Someone's been trying to smear me at work. Doris isn't just taking the house, she's out to ruin my life, so nobody will listen when I fight back. Except her story has holes. She claims 8 years of residency, but her voter registration says she lived at 738 Pine Rest, 4 doors down. Her car's got new green Colorado plates, registered just this year. Everything she says is smoke and mirrors. I finally call in a lawyer, Mitchell Ashford Sharp, steady, no patience for games. First thing he asks, What about the old owner's estate? Turns out Harold Brennan signed a life estate agreement giving the HOA first dibs if an auction buyer couldn't establish valid legal ownership. Doris didn't have to kick me out, she just had to make sure my paperwork didn't match the records. Then the house would fall into HOA hands for $1 and she could sell it for nearly $200K. We assembled the evidence, plat maps, satellite images, utility records, the marriage connection, my dash cam showing the old paint under the sign. One by one, every piece locks in place. In court, Ashford lays it out, map imagery, billing records, the form with Frank's signature. Judge is sharp, wants to know why a county employee signed off on his sister-in-law's request. Ethics board gets involved. The local paper runs the story. Suddenly, Doris isn't the protector anymore. She's the villain. Neighbors come forward. Leonard next door saw the workers painting. Betty, the mail carrier, recalls the suspicious address change. Doris gets booted from the HOA. Frank loses his job. Policy gets rewritten so nobody can pull this again. And then comes the showdown. Doris tries to back out, drop her lawsuit, save herself. Too late. In court with everything exposed, she breaks, crying, half apologizing, saying it was all for the community. Judge isn't buying it. My deed is ruled valid. The address change voided. Doris ordered to pay damages, criminal charges filed. She gets probation, community service, a 10-year ban from any HOA in Colorado. 3 weeks after the ruling, I drive up with a new sign, forest green like the original. Leonard finally welcomes me, shakes my hand, and it feels honest. The sun hits the house, golden, quiet, peaceful. I finally feel like I belong. Looking back, it's clear you can't always trust systems or people in charge. But truth, real stubborn, ugly, truth leaves traces if you dig hard enough. Sometimes doing the right thing means refusing to back down, even when everyone's calling you the villain. So here's where I leave you. Was Doris protecting her neighborhood or just her own power? At what point does community become a weapon? Have you ever stood up to an HOA, a neighbor, or anyone who bent the rules for themselves? Where's that line between defending what's yours and just plain stealing? Drop your thoughts below. Let's hear about the time you fought back or got steamrolled or saw justice done. Because in the end, the only thing that really keeps the truth alive is regular people who refuse to let the facts get buried.